بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا مولانا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا محمد وآله. This is lesson number 6 of our series on the names of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam entitled Rasulullah عليه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم. Abu Nu'aym says in his دلائل النبوة: ومن فضائله إخبار الله عن إجلال قدر نبيه وتبجيله وتعظيمه صلى الله عليه وسلم، وذلك أنه ما خاطب في كتابه ولا أخبر عنه إلا بالكناية التي هي النبوة والرسالة، التي لا أجل منها فخرا ولا أعظم منها خطرا. Of his merits sallallahu alaihi wasallam is God's informing of the preeminent rank of his prophet and his veneration and glorification of his status by exclusively mentioning and addressing him in the Quran by his title, which is prophethood and messengership, above which there is no greater honor. وخاطب غيره من الأنبياء وقومهم وأخبر عنهم بأسمائهم ولم يذكرهم بالكناية التي هي غاية المرتبة, while he mentioned and addressed the other prophets and their people with their names and not with the title that is of the utmost supreme rank, إلا أن يكون الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في جملتهم بمشاركته معهم في الخطاب والخبر، فأما في حال الانفراد فما ذكرهم إلا بأسمائهم, except when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned along with them. As for when those prophets are mentioned separately, he only mentions them by their names. والكناية عن الاسم غاية التعظيم للمخاطب المجلل والمدعو العظيم، لأن من بلغ به غاية التعظيم كني عن اسمه، ففضل الله نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم وبلغ به غاية الرتبة وأعالي الرفعة، فقال لنبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم: يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا. O Prophet, we have sent you as a witness, as a bearer of good news and warning. يا أيها النبي حسبك الله. O Prophet, God is sufficient for you. يا أيها الرسول لا يحزنك الذين يسارعون في الكفر. O Messenger, let not grieve you those who hasten into disbelief. The topic of the names of the Prophet ﷺ is a beautiful example of the integration inherent in Islamic tradition. And that is why you will invariably find that those who oppose the Mawlid lack integration in their knowledge and thought. The way of the ulama is that there is no knowledge without spirituality, and there is no spirituality without correct and sound knowledge, because they have bequeathed both the prophetic heart and the prophetic mind. Correct knowledge comes through the sanad, and sound knowledge comes through the teacher. Thus, a sanad without a teacher may be correct, but it is not sound. And a teacher without a sanad is neither correct nor sound. Love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a spiritual emotion, which is an obligatory element of faith. However, the expression of that love must conform to what he loves, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this should not be difficult to understand, because we affirm it repeatedly in human relationships. True expressions of love are marked by a deep awareness of the beloved and what pleases and displeases them. Otherwise, it is really just an expression of vanity. Anyone can say, I love you, but very few know how. So the true lovers are the true ulama, and the true ulama are the true lovers. And the whole of the religion is love, and learning how to love, and learning the practice of love, and learning the essence of love, and all of that requires sacred knowledge, and the methodology of knowledge, and the people of knowledge. This is how we must read the beautiful books of our tradition. The ulama expended everything they had for the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their time, their energy, their hearts, their minds, their wealth, their lifeblood, everything. So if you want to be true lovers and not just claimants of love, if we want to be true lovers, we are to draw upon the way and works of the ulama. and to witness in them the waves of knowledge they poured onto this ummah out of love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I could hardly prepare these lessons without tears in my eyes, for the marvelous excellence and precision, the copious comprehensiveness, the airtight integrity, and the breathtaking beauty with which the ulama compiled the blessed names of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They left no stone unturned. May Allah's choicest mercy be upon them, and may Allah reward them all on our behalf. When you love and revere someone so much and it overwhelms your heart and soul, the natural expression of it is to extend it to everything that is associated with the sublime subject of that love. And guess who taught us that adab? It is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. Years after the death of Lady Khadija, and even after marrying again, radiallahu ta'ala anha, he would continue to honor her memory by showing generosity to her sister and friends, an extended expression of his love for her after her death. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And so the Mawlid is a sort of metafiq, an application of the rule to the one who made the rule, the expression of the highest character with the one of the highest character, a tapping in to the source and feeding back into it, a transcendent look at the sacred, a fiqh above fiqh. Metafiqh teaches us to love and honor him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way he loved and honored people, not the vain and empty expressions that have no basis in anything but the ego. Or even better, the utter blindness of those who claim to exhibit prophetic character with others, while they don't even exhibit it with him, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. Ego speaks in a dark echo chamber, blindly hearing only itself, over and over again. Sound familiar? It's called social media. Indeed, we can only reflect what we absorb. That's what makes a human being different than a rose. That's what makes Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more beautiful than the moon. All of creation reflects incomplete light. He absorbed all of the divine light and reflected all of it back. Sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. This is the sir in the Fitra Foundation logo. Black on white, white on black. In the language of haqa'iq, our logo is saying Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. When the soul speaks correct sentences, it's able to translate the truth. Metafiq is a greenhouse in which the prophetic sun rays bounce off the glass to gain speed and grow seed. Any supposed intelligence without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an incomplete sentence at best. So, how do we honor Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam after his death? By honoring anything and everything associated with him, sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, beginning with the closest associations, Ahlul Bayt. قال تعالى: قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. And this is what the sacred hierarchy is about. Allah, Rasulullah, the Sahaba, the prophetic proxies, the true ulama are the true lovers. There is no spirituality without knowledge, and no knowledge without spirituality. Metafiq is prophetic intelligence. And this leads us to the most critical principle behind the Mawlid. In honoring the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are honoring his whole person, not just the hadith corpus, not just the fiqh corpus, not just the tafsir corpus. We are honoring the fact that all of sacred knowledge, nay, all of the universe, is from his light. Sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. We are honoring the fact that he was such a tremendous person that not one or two or three or a million or a billion or a trillion or even all people combined of all times are enough to encompass the fullness of this man, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. And this is why the greatest in commemoration of his birth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his wholeness are whom? Ahlul Bayt. Because no one knows him better than the ulama of his household, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. كما أن هناك عارفون بالله هناك عارفون برسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. And so, if your supposed knowledge of the hadith corpus, or your supposed knowledge of the fiqh corpus, or if your supposed knowledge of the tafsir corpus, or whatever knowledge you think you have, leads you to constrict the magnificence of the Messenger of God, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to your preferred subject domain, I dare say you attempt to reduce something of massive magnificence to your small size. Or, my particular favorite, those who dare frame the Mawlid as a cause of division in the Ummah. وَالَّذِي بَعَثَ مُحَمَّدًا بِالْحَقِّ لَسْتُمْ أَشْفَقُ عَلَى أُمَّتِهِ مِنْهُ صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. You don't encompass him. He encompasses us, alayhi salatu wassalam. And the ego's fragmentation of his wholeness and the dishonoring of his highness, that is the cause of division in the ummah. Now, all that being said, as the target audience is the general public, we have not dwelt upon the technical elements of the reports surrounding the names of the Prophet ﷺ, despite extensive research behind the scenes. But rather, we have curated the vast knowledge compiled in the classical works to serve the objectives we have deemed most beneficial to all. وَبِاللَّهِ التَّوْفِيقِ. With that, we turn to the objectives behind this series, which are three. To increase in knowing him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in loving him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in following him, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. زيادة في المعرفة والمحبة والمتابعة. And the means we have taken to achieve these aims are also three. ذكر وفكر وشكر. Remembrance, contemplation, and gratitude. We begin with dhikr. أعظم الذكر بعد ذكر الله هو ذكر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأعظم الفكر الفكر في النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأعظم الثناء على الله من باب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The best dhikr after the dhikr of Allah is the dhikr of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. And the most excellent contemplation is contemplating upon him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the most excellent praise of God is through his door. The most obvious proof of this is the shahada itself. Furthermore, the adab of dua follows the same pattern, which is to begin the praise of Allah and which is to begin with the praise of Allah and salawat upon him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, the levels of dhikr of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are just like the levels of recitation: mind, heart, soul, and sir. So through learning the names of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the aspiration is to raise our dhikr of him to higher heights. The first level is the dhikr of the mind. Now, this level is contrived. It's when one is in a state of heedlessness and thus needs a reminder. It's like a wife who mentions what she wants to her husband to do or to gift her. Then after he does it, she isn't pleased. Why? We all get it. It's because she told him to do it. She wanted him to do it from his own, right? So social media is filled with these sort of contrived reminders. The same message repeated over and over again, ad nauseum. Why? Because it never sinks in. If it doesn't get boring and it doesn't make you crave more depth and more light, then something isn't right. Social media will keep you stagnant forever. Why? Because that's how they make money. You are being sold fake dhikr. The dhikr of the mind is only really useful to sort of nag you until you start moving. But if the reminder itself is designed to keep you glued to your place, then it's a lie. Welcome to social media. Real remembrance is spiritual motion, not the spiritual paralysis of sitting in front of a screen. It is a working of the spiritual faculties. Dhikr is like a ladder that elevates us from one stage to another. So the dhikr of the mind is actually an expression of heedlessness. The next level, however, the dhikr of the heart, is an expression of love. When one loves someone, they mention them often. It isn't contrived. It's effortless and pleasurable and refreshing and makes one want to move closer to the beloved, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's exactly what the Mawlid is about. It is about imbuing dhikr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the heart. Not fake love, real love, the sort of remembrance that seeps into you and grants you the ability to feel a small bit of what the beloved feels. Sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. My beautiful daughter teaches me this lesson every day. How sweetly she reciprocates my love. Hafidhahullah. How many times I said nothing, and yet she knew exactly what I was feeling. Just like the many times since she was born that she didn't need to say anything, and I knew exactly what she was feeling. This is the dhikr of love. And if you've experienced it, you know it. But have you experienced it with the prophetic heart? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why if you can understand the heart of Sayyiduna Abu Bakr, Siddiq radiallahu anhu, at the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you can understand the Mawlid. Because despite his closeness to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and despite his overwhelming love of him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and despite the unbearable pain of losing him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did Abu Bakr do? He held together the ummah for him even when he was crumbling inside. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He gave preference to what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have felt in that moment over his own feelings, even though they were the best of feelings. This is metafiqh, prophetic intelligence. صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. And this is the very same intelligence that drove Sayyiduna al-Hussein to sacrifice himself for this ummah. This is metafiqh. على نبينا وآل بيت النبوة أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم. Today, on social media and in our lives, who and what are we giving precedence to? And over what? La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. The dhikr of the heart is the beginning of tasting the prophetic heart, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and assessing one's distance from it. And this is the objective of Mawlid gatherings, in which his blessed praise is extolled, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because not only are we then remembering the Prophet with the mind, but rather we can observe the true lovers and hopefully have that love wear off on us. The true lovers are the true ulama. So the hope is to gain a healthy love for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that opens up horizons of light and knowledge for us. And that is why traditionally Mawlid celebrations were held by whom? By the ulama, to lead people in love and show them how it's done. Now, if one begins to taste the prophetic heart, they might sense their distance from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that should cause pain, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yearned for you. So that pain that comes from feeling distant from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is actually due to his pain for your distance from him. Alayhi afdalu salati wa atammu taslim. Like a mother who yearns for her lost child, the child yearns for the mother too. But can the child even fathom what the mother feels? You will not understand prophetic love until you have tasted his heart, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if you are far from him and you don't feel pain, then you're still in the first level, dhikr of the mind. And what a terrible state of numbness it is. Because if you get a taste of the prophetic heart, it is sweeter than anything you will ever experience in your life. And this leads us to the dhikr of the soul, which is an expression of change. This is the level in which we begin to attain some of his traits, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is the stage of transformation. It occurs when we resolve to move beyond spiritual emotions and do the work to arrive at our beloved, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It requires knowledge and the people of knowledge, and treading the path of knowledge and divine care. Social media feeds off your spiritual emotions for its gain and your loss. It feeds you exactly what you want: junk food with the worst, low quality, processed ingredients, filling you up so that no room remains for any real food. And trust me, as long as you consume it, they will dish it out. But social media can never, I repeat, never lead you to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it works in a way that is antithetical to his light sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's worse than a mirage. It's quicksand that pulls you into a delusional underworld where an egotistical parasite sucks your spiritual energy to grow itself. Spiritually narcissistic content creators who sell their profit. But na'udhu billah. Real dhikr of the soul begins to pull us away from our own darknesses and infuse those gaps with the Muhammadan light. This is the light of the Sunnah that begins to shine upon our daily activities. This is the light that pulls us away from sin and satanic influence. This is the light that directs our decisions and propels our life purpose. This is the light that makes us look back at its source, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with a greenhouse of gratitude so ginormous that it exceeds the bounds of the universe. This is metafiqh, a tapping into the source and feeding back into it. A real prophetic inheritor doesn't digitally feed off of you. So, when that nourishment becomes a regular spiritual diet, fostering a full prophetic afia, complete inward health and well-being, then we will taste something that is out of this world. We will taste the dhikr of the sir, which is an expression of being. This form of dhikr fuses the remembered one into one's identity, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until they are one. حسين مني وأنا من حسين على نبينا وآل بيت النبوة أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم. The salawat is the most excellent way to remember Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it is in alignment with the dhikr of Allah and the dhikr of the angels. However, the more one knows Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his names and his traits and his character and his sunnah, the more potent is the effect of the salawat. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Think of it this way. If you want to increase iron absorption from your consumption of meat, you should drink orange juice with your meal, because vitamin C assists in the absorption of iron. Does this mean that the salawat of some people is heedless? Absolutely yes. It doesn't mean they should stop. It just means they need to elevate their dhikr. Maybe they need the mawlid. If you read Quran day and night, but you don't apply any of it, it will have no effect because the Quran is not words. The Quran is divine communication. So recite until you're blue in the face. Until you apply its message, it won't change the color of your soul. صبغة الله ومن أحسن من الله صبغة ونحن له عابدون. But should you stop reciting the Quran? Of course not. You just need to elevate your dhikr by realizing that its effect is dependent upon the movement of your heart, not the movement of your tongue. The same is true for the dhikr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Should we stop the Mawlid because people attend the gatherings and come out unchanged? No, absolutely not. We should continue the dhikr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam incessantly. But we must begin applying his guidance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that requires knowledge and the people of knowledge. And social media influencers aren't going to give you any of the above, just as personal reflections on the Quran also don't impart any real knowledge. Social media moves at tongue speed, not light speed. Knowledge comes from those who carry the Muhammadan light and who shine that light into their own lives and who carry that light to others upon the methodology and footsteps of the exemplars of the Ummah. This doesn't mean that everyone has to be a scholar. It just means everyone has to know what a scholar is, so that they are not trapped in the lair of an egotistical beast who feeds off their spiritual emotions and keeps them locked in the dhikr of the mind. So, if you want to learn how to be a true lover, then observe true lovers. They are the true ulama, the prophetic proxies in every generation, a continuous sanad of love. It is reported that Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu ta'ala anhu took the lines of Abu Talib and added to them with these lovely couplets. وشق له من اسمه كي يجله فذو العرش محمود وهذا محمد نبي أتانا بعد يأس وفترة من الرسل والأوثان في الأرض تعبد فأمسى سراجا مستنيرا وهاديا يلوح كما لاح السقيل المهند وأنذرنا نارا وبشر جنة وعلمنا الإسلام فالله نحمد وأنت إله الحق ربي وخالقي بذلك ما عمرت في الناس أشهد تعاليت رب الناس عن قول من دعا سواك إلها أنت أعلى وأمجد. جمعة مبارك، مولد مبارك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد نور الأنوار وسر الأسرار وترياق الأغيار ومفتاح باب اليسار سيدنا محمد المختار وآله الأطهار وأصحابه الأخيار عدد نعم الله وإفضاله والحمد لله رب العالمين.